Hi, I'm Carl Angel, and I am the illustrator of Pedro's Yo-Yos. And I am here to answer a few questions from the Texas Bluebonnet Committee. And thank you, Texas Bluebonnet Committee, for selecting our book as one of the nominees. It is indeed a great honor, and I will try to answer these questions as best as I can. Well, it comes from reading the manuscript and trying to figure out how I can transform these words and elevate them in a creative way, obviously visually. And working on this book, I was looking at a lot of yo-yos, and upon looking at the text where they were talking about how the yo-yo had worldwide popularity, looking at the shape of the yo-yo, it just seemed like an obvious choice to paint the yo-yo like the world. And I thought it was a neat solution that was kind of unexpected, and then when the reader comes upon it would sort of have a little bit of an aha, kind of moment, a sort of visual epiphany, if you will. And so I like creating those kinds of images where they sort of elevate the text, and when the reader reflects on the story as a whole, couldn't imagine the words without the text, where they sort of become inseparable. And I think that kind of creates a resonance that is rewarding to me. Yeah, I did. I thought it would be easy at first, but in the story there weren't a lot of specific images that were directly related to the people or the places that were depicted in the text. So I still had to use my imagination for quite a lot of it, although there was periodic reference that I could draw from. But actually, one of the difficult things was actually Pedro Flores himself, because there wasn't a whole lot of reference of him at the time that I was researching, when I had first gotten the project. There was only a couple of pictures, and they both looked different. They didn't really even look like the same guy. One was thin and the other was not. So at one point I wasn't sure who the real one was, so I wound up actually having to kind of come up with my own character, if you will, of Pedro, and try and come up with something that I felt would honor him in the best way, at least for this book. That just depends really on just what's going on at that point in the story. With Pedro, obviously in the story there's times where his experiences are happy and upbeat, and other times where he was kind of downbeat and struggling and challenged. So I wanted the colors to reflect that, in addition to using other tools at an illustrator's disposal, like composition, scale, things like that. Well, again, that goes with wanting to come up with an image that, again, I think is kind of creative and takes a different point of view from the text. And for this particular passage had soldiers marching through the streets, and about the huge influence that the U.S. was going to have on the Philippines. And I wanted to communicate that without showing the soldiers' faces, because if I had to draw all those faces, I think it would distract from young Pedro's reaction. So instead, I decided to take a different point of view, and to convey the hugeness of the situation, I chose to look at like huge boots. I thought that sort of conveyed the huge impact of what the influence was going to be, and yet you were still able to at least focus on young Pedro. So in that way also you wouldn't have to see all these other faces that I thought would take away from young Pedro's reaction. Well, mostly what everybody else, what other established illustrators would say is just to keep at it, keep drawing. It's a skill that you use to communicate. So you need to develop your visual language. And, don't be hard on yourself. It's always hard when you think that your work could look better and, it's not looking the right way. I'm not drawing very well. This doesn't look like so-and-so's work. And there's those of us who have been at this for years, and we all feel the same way. We like our work isn't as good as somebody else's, or could be better. You just got to keep trying, because eventually you will find something. And also remember, you're here to express who you are, and not necessarily try and be like somebody else, or how much your work can be like somebody else's work. You're in this to find your own visual stamp, and the only way you can do this is if you just keep at it, and just be inspired. Don't be intimidated. Be inspired. And when you're doing your work, anytime that you find a point where you're inspired by what you did, you follow that. I believe you should follow that like a kid chasing an ice cream truck in the middle of July on a sunny afternoon. You follow it until you come back with a cone of inspiration, if you will, because it's worth it. And you're trying to find out and express who you are. We don't need another Rembrandt or Picasso. We already got them. We want you. So, I think you should just be inspired and draw. And I think I need to go eat some ice cream. So, thank you for these questions. I hope they rose to the task, and aloha.